The Two and Out CFL podcast with Travis Currah and Sheldon Jones starts now.
Well, we made it, Sheldon Jones. We made it to the final week of the 2025 CFL regular season. Can you believe we're here?
Yes and no. It's gone very fast, but also it's it's been a long season too. So I'm not happy that we're almost over, but I'm excited to get to the playoffs.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I'm excited for the playoffs myself as well. And it seems like just everything is happening right now, even outside of the CFL. The Blue Jays are in the World Series, and that begins here on Friday. Rush is back with a new drummer, Annika Niles. Couple dates in four dates now in Western Canada next year. Your favorite band, the Foo Fighters, teasing Canadian tour dates as well. It's like the old Tiger King, Joe Exotic. We're never going to financially recover from this.
Yeah, never. Like these are, Rush is a band that I don't know why I never have seen them yet. Like every time they came, I either didn't have money or thought I'd just catch them on the next tour. I don't know why, but they've kind of been on my bucket list. But after hearing what the prices are allegedly, that kind of worries me. And yeah, Foo Fighters, playing Mosaic Stadium. Like this is pretty much my dream concert in my city. So I can't wait for that. And rumors are it's going to be on my wife's birthday, so that's wonderful. But
is that sarcasm or is it actually wonderful?
Well, I think it's wonderful, but for some reason, Tammy doesn't like it when other events are on her birthday that I want to go to because it's like I'm stealing her birthday.
It's the Foo Fighters stealing her birthday. It's not you.
Well, and Metallica stole her birthday one time, and
what a horrible birthday!
That's what I said. Great birthday.
We're live on YouTube. Austin is here from Calgary. He's 1 week away from being the Pick'em champ on CFL Game Zone. Potentially a trip to Winnipeg here on the line. Tammy, your lovely better half, is in the chat. David, Paul, Blake. We're going to have some fun tonight as we get ready for the final week of the regular season. I love this reference from Paul. I think referencing last Wednesday's show, where he says, please, Travis, give us an update on how you're feeling in your neck, your back, I still didn't look up the lyrics, but I think I get the reference. Blake Milton doesn't know who Rush is? Are we that old?
Come on, man. You gotta know.
You have to know Tom Sawyer, Blake.
Models. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. He's had to have seen the movie Role Models where they play like Tom Sawyer in the garage. Like
there's I Love You Man, right? With
or maybe
Paul Rudd.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking.
Oh, yeah,
I Love You Man. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. They both have Paul Rudd. Great movies.
This is actually wild. Like I'm actually mind blown.
Yeah.
I don't think you could go through life in Canada without knowing that song. Blake, I don't want to tell you to leave. He probably sent me the song, Tammy. I just didn't check the message. That's how I roll. Now, Blake's never seen the movie, so that doesn't help. I don't want to say leave the podcast, but leave the podcast on YouTube and look it up.
Yeah. Hit to Spotify, hit pause, come join us after.
4 minutes and 24 seconds, I believe. That's how long it is. So we got some time to you to get some Tom Sawyer in and slap of the bass.
Slap of the bass.
Or I would suggest watching the jam with Bubbles and Geddy Lee doing Closer to the Heart. I saw the Trailer Park Boys live before, and when Geddy starts playing, or when Bubbles starts playing the chords, it gets me every time, man.
Close to the Heart is one of my favorite songs of all time. So, yes.
Okay, so Big news in the CFL. We're a few weeks away from hardware season, where the CFL's finest on November 13th are going to be taking home some hardware for their hard-earned accomplishments during the 2025 season. So we're going to find out who the George Reed most outstanding player is, the most outstanding Canadian, the most outstanding defensive player, the most outstanding offensive lineman, special teams player, and rookie. Now, each team has put forward their nominees. In a few weeks, we will learn about the divisional finalists. There has been some talk from people that want to see it changed. Maybe a top 3 or just an overall top 2. It doesn't matter what division they're from. Sometimes both of the most outstanding players could be from the East or the West, but one of them always has to lose out. Just because of the way it's set up. And I could see the argument for changing it for the better that way.
Yeah, I agree. I think, there's a lot of times when we've seen, players who get snubbed and don't even get to be a finalist when they clearly deserve to be. I think having 3 would be good. A lot of people think that we should go to one division when it comes to standings too. And because it's just such a small league technically, and you can then have the playoffs work that way, the player awards work that way. I think that'd be simple. I don't know if the league will actually go to that, but I wouldn't be opposed to it.
All right, so let's go through the finalists here. Maybe make some predictions. I think it's been requested of us that we make the predictions. Is there anything that really stands out to you? I would say Dedrick Mills getting the MOP nod out of Calgary, but he's the CFL's leading rusher. Good for him, man, getting that nominee as MOP. Khalil Pimpleton out of Ottawa. He didn't have, I was expecting a more explosive season from him this year, from what we saw last year in limited action. Davis Alexander out of Montreal, but can't fault Ottawa. I mean, they had a rough season. They had to give it to somebody, I guess. And I just think they didn't get it in his hands enough. As simple as that. But are there any others that kind of stood out to you? I saw Jameer Thurman. He put out sort of a statement online. Even though that he is the most outstanding defensive player nominee for the Riders, saying that A.J. Allen really deserves some love. And he is the MOC nominee for the Riders. They're in the same linebacking core together, so I'm sure that helps too.
Well, it does, but his post was very, it was facts. Like, he went from he led the league in special teams tackles last year to becoming a starter this year, and just the season that he is having. Like, I think it's obviously tough when you're going up against, guys like Brady Oliveira and Nathan Rourke, who kind of, I'd say for the next 8 to 10 years, as long as they're still healthy, are probably going to be the guys who are battling it out for this every single year. Again, that's another maybe proponent to going to something a little bit different when it comes to, having three players to pick from maybe, but it's even hard because I think Matthew Betts deserves a Canadian nom there too. I think, I don't know. I think there's a lot of interesting picks here. I look at, for a lineman, Jamarcus Hardrick for the Riders. I kind of am wondering why it wasn't Ferland again, just because Ferland's playing another position this year, being the captain of that line. So I was a little bit, not that Jamarcus Hardrick hasn't played awesome in a bounce back after an injury last season, but that one kind of stuck out to me a little bit. And then Hamilton. Hamilton having Mark Leggio as their outstanding Canadian was quite interesting to me. I get it; he's a great kicker and but Stavros,
they had a few options there. Keandre Smith, his first 1,000-yard season in his career, 78 catches, 5 TDs, 1,027 yards. He did go on that hot streak in at the end of July there where he had 4 touchdowns in 3 weeks. Was playing great. I thought maybe he could have got a nod. Man, and you're right, Katsantonis, because he didn't get the defensive nod from the Ticats either. But hey, I was able to make my all CFL team. Logan Ferland is on my all CFL team. Stavros Katsantonis is on my CFL team. And then out of Montreal, just a shout out to Isaac Adeyemi Berglund. He's getting the double nomination. Most outstanding Canadian and most outstanding defensive player. I think this goes without saying. We need more face paint in the CFL.
Yep, 100%. 100%. Intimidation works, folks.
Yeah, like, I don't know if it fires him up more than it gets in the O-lineman's head. You know what I mean? Maybe it's a little of both.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so let's do some predictions here. Let's start. Oh, man, my boy Derek Sluka getting the nomination for Most Outstanding Rookie out of Toronto. I think it's going to be Devin Varasek for the Ticats against Robert Carter Jr. for Most Outstanding Rookie, and Robert Carter Jr. is going to win the award.
I agree with Varasek, but I think it's going to be Vavel from Winnipeg, and I think he's going to get some other hardware, and so that's why I think he has to win Most Outstanding Rookie here. So I'll pick Vavel.
Most Outstanding Special Teams Player, I will give the nod to Trey Vavel there out of Winnipeg to be the West Division nominee. The East is a tough one. Holy man. It's Legio, Hyralahu, Pimpleton, or Maltos Diaz. Respect, by the way, to Calgary and Saskatchewan for giving their nominations to cover guys. They do not get enough love when it comes to special teams play. Out of the East, I'm going to say Jose Maltos Diaz, but Trey Vavel wins the award.
Yeah, that's what I was going through. Like, maybe it's Legio, but I think because, Jose had a couple games where he kind of faltered a little bit, but I think Jose had a really good season, and if it wasn't for just how good Vavel was at returning, he would have won. But it's going to go to Vavel. He's going to be one of a couple guys getting 2 trophies this year, I think.
Blake Milton says I said Robert Carter Jr. wrong. Did I?
How are you supposed to say Robert Carter Jr.?
I don't know. I'm too old for the jokes. Like, it's official. Like
6'7"? 6'7"?
Just got to retire from the pod, I think. That's what's happening here. O-lineman's always tough.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I could see it being Hardrick getting the nomination for the Riders. I see it being between Jarrell Broxton of BC and Jamarcus Hardrick of the Riders. I'm going to put it Hardrick versus Revenberg of the Ticats, and I'm going to say that Hardrick wins the award.
Yeah, I kind of agree. The only other thing that maybe, like, he got hurt, so I don't know if that, but Beard did really good in Edmonton. Like, when he was in there, I think they had a lot of more success. So I don't know but you're probably right about Hardrick. But also Zach Williams in Calgary, like Mills had such a great season, and sometimes that's kind of one of the metrics that they use for this award. So
right.
He could be a dark horse too, but I love if Hardrick wins, but I think it will go down to the same 2 that you picked as well.
We're going to find out in a week when three-quarters of my picks don't even become finalists here. Most outstanding defensive player. Man, this is also going to be a tough race. I could almost see them going, like I said, Thurman and Betts, like they could be the finalists themselves, but they're in the same division there. But
Yeah.
then I do think it's going to be Isaac Adeyemi Berglund out of the East, and then the West gets a little bit tough. I'm going to say probably Betts, and Betts wins the award.
Yeah, that's the way I'm going for too. The only other thing I can think of is maybe Thurman over Betts, just because of, again, if you look at the whole defensive stats, which typically I think that might factor in a little bit. Just Sask has a better defense than BC, so maybe that gets some votes for Thurman. But I definitely think it's Isaac Adeyemi Berglund out of the East for sure, though.
MOC, I don't think this needs much discussion. It's going to be Nathan Rourke.
Yeah, it has to be. Yep.
And MOP, I say it's Rourke versus Bo Levi in the final, and
Yep.
Rourke wins it.
Yep.
Those are the easy ones.
Yeah. Pretty cut and dry, those ones.
Yeah, we got a new face of the CFL, and he wears number 12 on the West Coast. That is what I see happening, and apparently Sheldon Jones is having a rave live on YouTube. What's happening over there, man?
This dang light, sometimes it just decides to shut itself off or turn itself on whenever it wants. So,
Now, we're at the final week of the regular season. Sometimes these end up becoming glorified preseason games. The first games of the 2026 preseason. It does look like we'll get one, but the problem is about half of them can be a preseason game in one team. But we saw that last week. Saskatchewan was using it as a rest day, and they're resting starters, they're evaluating guys, kind of thing, and Winnipeg barely beat them. So
yeah.
it's interesting. Now here's the deal: Hamilton, they have to win, so all the pressure is on Hamilton to beat the Ottawa RedBlacks, and they're favored heavily, 14.5-point favorites. The over-under at 52.5 here. Now, the Ticats, if they win, they will host the Eastern Final. If they don't, then Montreal's got an opportunity by beating Winnipeg on Saturday to host the East Final themselves. I really do see the Ticats winning here. However, Ottawa, they lost by 9 to Montreal a week ago. And now there was some garbage time in there. There was recovering an onside kick in there. But they have some guys fighting for their professional lives. It looks like Tyree Adams is going to be starting again. He took a lot of punishment, but he fought to the very bitter end there. I don't think they're going to win, but they're going to be scrappy, and the Ticats can't take them lightly. They can't just go out and think it's going to be a walk in the park. I think Ottawa's going to be out there. They're going to fight their best. But Hamilton, the main thing is just get the win and stay healthy.
Oh, for sure. But they also need to, I think they need to build up a little bit of confidence. They haven't been playing their best ball lately, and they need to get a little bit of momentum kind of going in, because if they do win and they host, then they get a bye to get a little bit of rest and recovery. But again, they need some momentum. These losses that have been kind of piling up a little bit have been with their starters in. It's a little bit different than maybe Sask if they go in to the playoffs on a little bit of a losing skid. If they're playing their backups in the last couple of games, maybe that doesn't affect them as much because they know that they're playing their backups. But Hamilton has been playing to win and not winning. So we'll have to see how it goes. But yeah, I don't know if they're going to beat them by 14. That's that's a hell of a spread. But they need to get up. They need to show their fans that when they have the opportunity to get first place and they have to beat the worst team in the league. They have to put a licking on them.
Yeah, all the pressure's on them, and you're right. Like the Ticats need to get consistent. It seemed like their offense had sort of found some balance there. And then they got smashed by Winnipeg. They go home and they look okay again, but then they lose to Calgary. And now they're almost kind of limping into the playoffs a little bit there. So they need to get some things right too. I know they'll have a bye if they host that Eastern final, but Bo's going to want to get that connection with Kenny the King early here. Now, it's Kenny just needs one touchdown, and that will tie Tony Champion for the franchise record in touchdowns in a season with 15. Kenny has 14. Do you think players play for the stats and records like that? Even if they don't admit it, I think they do.
I think they do too. Some of them even have like clauses in their contracts or stuff like that. So it's I think when you're a professional athlete like that, and if you're as long as you're coached properly to understand about like the culture on the team, then obviously you value winning above personal achievements. But we're all human, and I think Kenny Lawler's probably got to be a little bit frustrated because, like, at the halfway point of the season, he was already at like 10, right? And I think he's kind of fallen off a little bit, and because he could easily have been near 20 already, I would say, and so I think he's got to be pretty frustrated. So I think he's going to want to get that record because he put in the work early in the season to get that, and it's just the results haven't been there lately. So again, it's just another player needing to get some positive momentum going into the playoffs.
And you know what? There are some other milestones in this game that I would think some receivers would want to reach. Geno Lewis has exactly 1,000 yards receiving, so he has made it to that point. But Justin Hardy is 32 yards away for the RedBlacks, and Tim White is 53 yards away for the Ticats. So I would have to think that they're going to try to feed the rock to those guys to get them over that milestone. The last time that Tim White, well, he probably would have been a 1,000-yard receiver for every year of his CFL career, but he was a rookie in 2021, the shortened CFL season, and he only played 13 games there. He had 774 yards. So if you extrapolate that, to use a big fancy word, he would be a 1,000-yard receiver there. I would have to think he would want to get over that milestone. And I actually was watching some old football. And by old, I mean Thanksgiving weekend football. He had a few tough drops there. He probably would already be over 1,000 if he caught some of those passes against the Stampeders over Thanksgiving. So I do like to look at these stats, these milestones. You're right. Sometimes these guys get paid more if they can make it to those stats. That is yawn number 1 from Sheldon Jones live on 2. That's 2. Man.
I hit that first one pretty good.
Well, here's another thing. Greg Bell, 56 yards away from 1,000 on the ground. So I think the Ticats offense, they got some milestones they're going to want to get. Scott Milanovich will say, we don't play for individual stats and all. And that was not my real impersonation of Scott Milanovich. He will say that, but that they're going to try to get those guys there.
Yeah, they have to because they're the playmakers and they're the players that they need to do well. So it's gonna be a steady diet of that, and they're gonna hope that whether it's Nielsen or whoever can say that player is over 1,000 yards, and then maybe they can sit him down if they get a lead because Hamilton's going to want to get an early lead so that they can take some of those players out to get less of a chance of an injury, right?
I have been seeing interesting conversations online regarding who's going to be coaching the Ottawa RedBlacks in 2026. So there are some that feel like if they just, and look, the coach's cap might have already made the decision for the Ottawa RedBlacks. Some would say if they just shifted over to Rick Campbell, that's kind of going backwards for the organization. I don't think he's had his last head coaching gig in the Canadian Football League, but some interesting names I've seen floated out there, including Sheldon, Smiling Hank, and if he returned to Ottawa, I think that'd be a great storyline for the franchise. And all of a sudden, Ottawa visiting Regina becomes a lot more exciting again.
That would be very interesting. I, I, I don't think going back to Rick Campbell's a step back because I just don't think that they had the GM to get the players there. Like I don't think because it was Burke, right? When Campbell was there? Or is it
It's
both
Burke
now?
now. It was
Yeah.
Marcel
Oh, Desjardins.
Desjardins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think that uh, I, and again, maybe I'm wrong here, but I think Campbell did a really good job in BC up until the point of Rourke coming back, and I just don't think that that was handled properly. But it's hard to blame a coach in that instance because you have a guy, but you
I
get
still
the
wonder
guy
if
back,
he
and
was allowed to make the decision there.
yeah, that's completely fair. So. I don't think he's a bad coach. I think he's a good coach. He obviously has a hell of a lineage when it comes to, his dad being a coach, right? So, and GM. So I think he's definitely getting another shot. And I'm tired of this coach's cap. And so I don't want it to be the reason why he has to get it. I hope that they change it in the off season because it's so stupid. But like, yeah. But if it's Hank, I just hope that it's really like that he's at that level ready to be a head coach because the Ottawa, whoever's the next head coach, they need to get it right. They need to be able to get some wins and to get their fans back and to show their fans that they're in it to be competitive. They don't need to win the Grey Cup every year. They need to make the playoffs. They need to just show that they're competitive and not winning like 4 games a year and just being terrible.
Now, we'll acknowledge that Smiling Hank's got a pretty good gig right now. He's the co-offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach for Florida A&M. So
Yeah.
he might be sticking around and doing that for quite some time. But we have seen, some guys. Kent Austin is one that comes to mind that has bounced between NCAA and the CFL kind of thing. And Henry's got a great connection to Ottawa, obviously, winning the Grey Cup there. So, that was the fourth franchise he turned around, I think. So, I would love to. I think the game and the league would be better with Hank in it. So, I would be okay with that. I'm loving the conversation here in the live chat. Paul saying, no way the Riders get past Calgary. Blake saying, Rocky saying, Calgary and BC stand no chance in Regina. Keep dreaming, people. And Blake says, that's funny, Rocky. Our defense is much better than earlier in the season. You'll see this upcoming Saturday. And Colt, the Montreal fan in the live chat, we will talk about Moss and Machocha after we touch on the final Battle of Alberta of the season. The Edmonton Elks hosting the Calgary Stampeders. Calgary comes to town as 4.5-point favorites. The over-under at 53.5 on this one. I had high hopes that this one would mean something. That I know Elks fans did too. That they could squeak into the play. Like, what a story it would be if they could squeak into the playoffs with a victory here over Calgary. They get a different. It's going to be interesting to see how they handle the roster, isn't it? Like, What are they going to do? Are they going to try to, like, I would like coaches to do this where you can try to screw over your rival, you know what I mean? Because if they get out there and they beat Calgary, well, BC's got that West semifinal at BC Place, right? It seems like coaches don't do that. Let's just go evaluate players. No, take it to your rival one last time. You know what I mean? So Nick Anderson, the linebacker, he's been dealing with an injury. They list him as available. We'll see if he's going to be playing on Friday night. But Jared Brinkman, Brett Boyko injured. The O-lineman, Carter O'Donnell, he's questionable. Practiced in full today. And Curly Gittens Jr., he's out. I'm guessing after that major hit he took against Robert Carter Jr. But how do you see the Elks going about Friday night? Fajardo playing the whole game, or what are they gonna do here?
I don't know. I think Killam would want to beat Calgary. I think he really would want to try to get his team fired up to try to give the fans something to cheer about at the end of the season. They've been giving the fans a lot to cheer about, to be honest. But I don't know about the whole Fajardo situation. Like after this last game, Killam was asked if Ford had a future in the organization, and he said that Trey Ford definitely has a future in the CFL. So he completely did not say that he has anything left in this. So I don't know if there's any reason for them to play him. I don't know if they need to get any more evaluation from him. I think it's clear that they're going to move on from him and try to trade him, or I guess release him and eat that guaranteed money. I don't know. I don't think he's gonna. If I was him, I wouldn't renegotiate a deal for less to be the backup going forward. Like you have a contract that has guaranteed money in. So, and he's due a roster bonus, I think February 1st or something like that. So they're gonna have to figure that out pretty soon. That I just don't know if they're gonna actually give him a chance. But you would think if they're not gonna give him a chance, they would give the third stringer a chance because they're gonna need to. But they don't have Cody locked up for next year yet. So there's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of uncertainty when it comes to their quarterback room and the Riders' quarterback room, the RedBlacks. There's a lot of change that could happen in this offseason when it comes to quarterbacks. So I think this week we'll see a lot of different options at quarterback.
You know what? There is the off chance that Winnipeg, BC, and Calgary could all be 10-8. That would require BC to lose to Saskatchewan, Calgary to lose to Edmonton, and then Winnipeg to beat Montreal. In that case, the triple tiebreaker would mean that Calgary would host the West semifinal. So I just see the Stamps coming into this one pretty fired up, and they're going to remember the way that they played there. It wasn't long ago. It feels like long ago, but that Labor Day rematch, that was like really a point in the season where you cannot take the Elks lightly, and maybe the Stamps aren't as dominant as we thought they were. But then the last few weeks here, the way Calgary has looked, the way they smashed the team they should have smashed in the Toronto Argonauts, the way they got the big win in Hamilton, they're just going to want to keep that rolling in Edmonton here before the playoffs. Momentum is a big thing. And that West semifinal, if it were tomorrow, would be Calgary and BC. And both teams want to come into that game with momentum. And the storylines just write himself for that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm really looking forward to it if that's the matchup. But yeah, both teams need momentum. Both teams, have that chance. If Calgary does lose, then I guess BC is gonna rest everybody. I would assume, but it's kind of hard for them to do that because they're gonna have to set their roster as a team that needs to win. But we'll talk about that in the next game. But Yeah, Calgary's going to be fired up. And VA, he's looked better these last couple games, but he's still got to show that he's better. He's still got to lead that offense and be mistake free, even in this game that. Well, I mean, it does mean something to Calgary, so that doesn't make sense. What I was about to say. Uh, I just think that, like you said, they need to get momentum, but again, they're going to be looking to get up big on Edmonton so they can start to rest because we 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 don't want to see any players get injured, but that's always the risk in this dangerous sport that they play. So we'll have to see how hot of a start they can get, or if Edmonton can grind it out and make Calgary really work for it for the full fourth quarter.
Now, interesting injury report from Calgary where Jalen Philpott, dealing with a knee issue, hasn't practiced this week. And Malik Henry, who has not played all this season, is practicing in full, listed as available. I wonder if Jalen Philpott's going to have to sit off for this one. He's looked really darn good the last few weeks. He's become a pretty solid part of that offense. So if he were to miss, that would be a shame for the Stampeders there. And the way I look at the Stamps now, that D line seems to have come on again. Like, they're monsters there, and I would not want to be a quarterback trying to make reads while Clarence Hicks and Jalen Hutchings, and that's without Flo. Uh, once those guys get rolling, it seems like you can't stop them. So and that's tough when it comes to these games as well. When you want to evaluate guys, and sometimes you throw in your starting quarterback behind young old linemen, and what are you evaluating? How these guys can take a hit? I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, that was like quite the knock on last week with when the Riders put Jack Cohn in there. He didn't look good, but he also didn't have any of the starters in basically. So where's the help to try to make him look good, right? So there's a lot of balance and there's a lot of different scenarios that can happen in these kind of games. And again, like you said earlier, at least there's a couple that have a little bit of meaning. So it's not all kind of garbage football right at the end here, but
The game that I think will be a bit of a circus here will be the Montreal Alouettes against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. I think they should just play straight time.
I agree.
Play through and get it over. That is if the Ticats beat the RedBlacks. If the RedBlacks beat the Ticats, then all of a sudden that changes everything for this Alouettes and Bombers game in Winnipeg, where the Bombers are 5.5 point favorites. The over-under at 49.5. And the big news out of Montreal this week, while Ottawa's wondering, what the heck do we do with our front office? Why did we extend these guys at the beginning of the regular season? The Montreal Alouettes hand Danny Machocha and Jason Moss 2-year contract extensions, both with pasts in Edmonton. And I think there was a time when Edmonton fans would have a little bit of a twitch whenever Danny Machocha was brought up. But what a job. Well, Jason Moss, cast off, I would say he was almost public enemy number one in Saskatchewan. In Edmonton, they just couldn't quite get over the playoff hump. It seemed to be they would always run to the Stampeders in the playoffs, and then Mike Riley left and all that kind of thing. But the team that Moss and Machocha have made over the past few years, yeah, 2 thumbs up. And now they got a young franchise quarterback as well. They're going to have great success for several years to come, I think.
Oh yeah, you can't deny that they're very deserving of these contract extensions. You have a quarterback who's undefeated, like he's never gonna lose, so they're gonna win every single game that he plays going forward. That's science, right? uh, but for real though, like they've built a team, they've built a contender that when they have the the players that they need healthy, they win, and they have a hell of a culture that they've built there. And I think like Jason Moss, he might have been he was definitely scapegoated in Saskatchewan, and I think a lot of people have realized that he probably wasn't the problem. I think him and Dickinson were obviously quite different, and I think they butted heads at a lot of the calls. And at the end of the day, I think Dickinson was the one who got the calls. I think it's pretty evident once Cody Fajardo joined Moss in Montreal that
Well,
the
and all
issue
the
was
talk out of
between the two of
Sask
them.
was that Fajardo and Moss were like that.
Yeah,
And
but
then they won a Grey
obviously
Cup
no.
together.
Yeah. And I guess that's true. Like sometimes you have those kind of relationships with coaches and players, but obviously there was a differing of opinions in Saskatchewan when it came to Fajardo between Moss and Craig Dickinson. But again, just I'm happy to see them extended because when you see regimes and teams that are able to build and work, we want those coaches to stick around and we want them to continue to have success. We want all the teams to have that, but at least we can see a few teams right now that have that.
Yeah. So this game, it's going to be again.
Crap.
Well, and Moss said, we can't sit everybody because, like you said, 5 minutes ago, these guys got to set their rosters and they got to travel. So he's saying that a lot of guys are going to be marked as game time decisions. So I think maybe the starters will take a few snaps kind of thing, but I could see it being a McLeod Bethel Thompson versus Chris Strevler kind of thing, and both teams are just looking ahead, right? And I think for the Bombers, well, and the problem is that this is probably the East semifinal, so both teams don't want to show anything.
Yeah.
they're gonna
It's
they're gonna play the most
yeah.
vanilla offenses you've ever seen. If you're thinking, oh, I think they're gonna fake the punt here, I promise you, they are not.
I mean, I would have said that last week, and the Riders decided to run a flea flicker the first play of the
That's
game.
true.
But yeah, you're right. Like it's crazy. Like as you were saying it, the things were popping in my head. Like yeah, this is most likely the East semifinal, and nobody like they're not going to want to give each other any sort of special film, and Coach O'Shea is already so. I really like him, so I don't want to use his term, but douchey when it comes to how he handles his roster and stuff like that. Like I listen to him on the coaches show every week, and like just the nonchalant answers he gives all the fans is hilarious. Like I love, but then he goes and he actually does answer something really, and he goes like into it really, like explaining his thought process, and he's so meticulous. He's such a good guy. He's obviously a great coach. I just hate how standoffish he is with the media sometimes. And but I digress. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of yeah, run up the middle, hitch pass, run up the middle screen. Like it's probably gonna be like a 16-13 game with a bunch of field goals.
If they wanted to win, they should do the opposite. Like just go all out, all the trick plays this week. And then in the playoffs, just sound fundamental football, fellas.
Yeah, I mean, if the guy who used to be the running back coach, who's a offensive coordinator, can understand to use the running back, I think Winnipeg might have been playing in the West when it comes to the finals or the playoffs
Yeah.
this year. I think they're not. Well, it's hard to say that because they look so terrible against the Riders' backups last week. So it's this team. We don't know what the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are. Like we really don't.
Yeah. It's bizarre. I think the big question is here. I mean, so when Nick Dembski got hurt Thanksgiving and against Edmonton, and then the offense really didn't do anything after that, and then they didn't do anything against Saskatchewan. Like, does the absence of Nick Dembski change that offense that much?
Well, they obviously feature him like when it comes to like he does a lot of jet sweeps and he does a lot of stuff like that, but like you have the other players who can do that, or you just can give Brady Oliveira the ball consistently. Like I'm not complaining as a fan of the rival team here, but it's pretty maddening when all of us just know that if you give Brady Oliveira the ball, like he's gonna get lots of yards. But you have to give him the ball, and it just seems like sometimes they just got away from it, and it's almost like this guy is trying to be too much like, oh, I'm going to call a lot of passes because I'm a running but I don't want them to think that I'm pigeonholed as a running back guy. Like it just reeks of like out coaching yourself, and it's bizarre.
I think maybe. Do you think Brady Oliveira plays better mad? Like they try to
For
make him
sure.
mad.
Yeah, I
So that
honestly I
Ryder
could see
Bomber
that. I
game,
could.
to reference that again. So I brought it up. Some guy on Twitter thought it was a good call. Like 1st and 10, 4 minutes left, Ryder 33-yard line, the Bombers trailing by 2, and they throw deep into double coverage.
I thought it
So
was terrible.
so then on the next possession, they give Oliveira, and he runs like through everyone for a 16-yard gain. So
Mhm.
we need Hulk Oliveira. Like, I don't know. Maybe they're trying to do that.
It makes sense, but like that's not how I would want to treat my star player, I guess. But if that's what it takes to get him going, I guess. But
You'd have to think he'll be fresh going into the playoffs either way.
yeah,
So, yeah, I do think they need Dembski for that East semifinal in Montreal. And what's interesting, we've seen Hamilton get that running game as the season gone on. So is Montreal. Stevie
yeah,
Scott the third has really came on, and he's taken that job. And I think he's going to be an important figure in the Alouettes offense in the playoffs. So this game won't matter unless the RedBlacks beat Hamilton in Friday night football. And then the last game of the regular season is in Regina, where the Riders are hosting the BC Lions. The Lions come in as 7.5 point favorites in this one. The over-under at 51.5. Now the Lions are, touchdown and a half favorites here because they basically need to win this game to guarantee. Like, if all the games were happening at the same time, BC needs to win this game to
yeah.
host the West semifinal. But if Calgary beats Edmonton, well, then, yeah, BC needs to beat Saskatchewan to have that home playoff game. But I ask you, and Corey Mace does not want to give it away one bit either. The Riders didn't play many starters last week. We'll see what they do this week, but next week they're on bye. So how many times are we going to see the starters out there, if at all, on Saturday for the green and white?
Well, I think with the amount of starters that were rested last week, we kind of look at that as like a week one preseason game. I think you look at this as the second preseason game, so maybe your starters get a quarter to a half. I think Trevor Harris, you get him in there. If he has a good series, if they march on the Lions and score a touchdown, let's say the first series, or even the first couple series, they get field goals or something like that. I think then you take him out because you just want to make sure that he's got a rhythm after missing a game. You just want to make sure that that rhythm is still there, and you don't want to like he can't get injured. He just can't. So. I think you just want to make sure he's got a rhythm. Other guys like AJ Ouellette, some of the. I don't think there's going to be a lot of starters in the receivers just because there's so many injuries right now. We don't know about Keyshawn Johnson or Dante Myers, Robustelli. He hyperextended his knee last week. Emelis, he's kind of nicked up a little bit still too. I think, unless that's load management, could be. Schaefer Baker is probably not going to play that much, I don't think. So you just have to you just have to make sure that the starters get a feel for the game, and then you take them out of there and you let the backups play. Like, uh, you just want to. The only thing that matters this game is not having any significant injuries. Doesn't matter if you score a point. Obviously, it's going to suck for the fans there, who most of them are going to be like me and have their phone out watching game 2 of the World Series anyway. But it's you just got to get out of the game injury free and get ready to start prepping to see if you're going to be playing Calgary or BC.
Well, and on that note, I mean, how much of a lead does BC need for them to take their guys out? You know, like, do they need to get Butler out of there and Hatcher and McInnes and Rourke and, the guys on defense as well if they end up getting off to a nice lead? And I only bring this up because there's some jelly beans on the line for my fantasy lineup. The 2 and Out Patron Fantasy League, where 10 points separates first from third. So these games do mean something to some of us.
Oh, yeah.
And I currently have Nathan Rourke as my quarterback and my captain. What I really like is that you never know. The guy might run for 50 yards and take it to the house. So he had a 70-yarder a week ago against the Elks, and I look at the injury report for the Riders, and Mario Anderson hasn't practiced, dealing with a knee issue. So I wonder if there's a Thomas Bertrand Houdon opportunity there to get some carries for a garbage time CFL fantasy team.
I hope so. I thought Thomas Bertrand Houdon was playing lights out before he got injured. Since he's come back, he hasn't really got that spark yet. So I'm hoping that he's getting the ball quite a bit, so we can make sure that he's ready to go for the playoffs. Because I think in a perfect world, you have just AJ and Thomas as your running backs, and you don't even worry about Mario Anderson in the playoffs. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens there, because I want to see AJ maybe get enough yards in the first quarter or something so he can get that rushing title, because I know he's caring about that. He wants to lead the league in rushing, and it is attainable, but I don't want him getting injured just so he can try to get that done. But I'd love to see the Riders, make it harder for the Lions if they do have to win this game, because, that anything that they can get out of them this week as far as effort and fatigue and all that stuff is just bodes well for them becoming possibly their opponent in the West Final.
I just want to make sure I heard you correctly. Do you think that AJ Ouellette can catch Dedrick Mills?
I thought maybe I haven't looked at this at the.
He's 160 yards back.
Is it 160? Okay.
And Dedrick plays Friday, so
yeah, never mind.
He might need a 350-yard rushing game.
Hey. That's what I get for not being prepared.
Dedrick has really come on, man.
He has. That is fair.
He leads the league with rushes over 10 yards with 44. The next closest is Brady Oliveira with 31. Mills has been a rushing monster. Now, who has the least rushing yards in the CFL? You're never going to get it, but take
the least rushing yards?
Yeah, and it's in the negatives. It's actually a good player.
I have no idea.
Keandre Smith. -5 yards rushing on the season.
Dang.
The Ticats got to give him another reverse. Try to get him in the positives for the year.
Yeah.
But for that matter, I guess you're guessing with a fantasy lineup, how much do we see of Xander Horvath for the Lions? Do they give JB the, second half off and just run over try to run over the Rider defense, who even their backup D, I think we saw that they got depth.
Hmm.
Like, they have a good rush defense no matter what.
Well, and they like it seems like at practice that Lacombo and Jackson Ford were both practicing in full, I believe. So it looks like they may be switching that safety back to Canadian and putting Revis out to the corner, maybe playing where Marcus Sales was. I think Fields has actually been doing really good in the last couple of games. He got that interception on that stupid play call last week. Um, but uh, Brooks Brooks has been doing really good at the linebacker. Yeah, the Campbell, he's healthy. As long as these defensive guys can stay healthy. We saw Dalkey last game playing really good in that game too. So yeah, the Riders defense, no matter who's in, is going to make it tough on the Lions. And I think they're gonna have to be up by a couple scores before the Lions are gonna be able to start resting people, and you're gonna have to be at least well into the second half before that happens, I think. So it'll just tough to see, if I think there's gonna be only probably about 10 or 15,000 people there. I think a lot of people might just stay home to watch the World Series. Certainly more meaningful, unfortunately, but hopefully the faithful that are there are able to be loud and cheer on the Riders, and maybe they can try to play spoiler. And again, Corey Mace wants to go 1-0 every week. It doesn't matter what week it is. So they're still playing to win, but they're obviously playing to win smartly by not getting anybody hurt.
See if those BC Lions want to rack up some numbers as well. For their players, James Butler, 11 rushing touchdowns. He's tied with Dedrick Mills in that respect, but he's still like 155 yards behind him there. Keon Hatcher, the leading receiver in the league. He's got a 213-yard lead on Kenny Lawler, actually, for second. So Keon Hatcher has had a great year for the BC Lions. Aiden Eberhardt, 762 yards on the season for him. Yeah. Do you know what does he do, the heart thing?
Well, yeah,
Blake's,
I just think it's like because his last name is like Hart, but spelled
oh,
differently. But I think he just has a heart. Yeah.
we need to make up the Eberhardt Foundation. The pink and black attack.
There you go.
They need to do
I'll get the sunglasses.
yeah, hand out the shades to the kids. Like, come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
There it is. That's the final game of the CFL regular season. And this was an interesting story, Sheldon. Let's see if I can pull it up here. Each team in the CFL has been made $50,000 available to spend on the cap. It's actually excluded from salary cap calculations. It's following a settlement between the CFL and CFL PA. CFL teams recently put load management designations on players for rest purposes after clinching playoff berths, or shut athletes down after being eliminated from the playoffs. So those moves led to a grievance being filed by the CFLPA, as the union wants salary cap money being paid to players who are on game day rosters and are playing football. This on 3downnation.com. That's quite the interesting story there.
It is interesting. It's just I don't quite understand it because even if you're put on load management or you're shut down for the end of the season, let's say, like these players are still getting paid, and it's still unless you were able to put a player on a 6 game before, because the only way you could put a player on the 6 game is if there's 6 games left, and then their their salary wouldn't count towards the cap. However, if you're on a 1 game injury list, you still get paid and the salary still counts towards the cap. So I'm kind of maybe I guess I don't understand this, but at the same time, I'm happy that there's more money for the players. I'm always happy when that happens.
Yeah, absolutely. We always want to see the players making more money. Before we wrap up the show, we got to talk about some of the amateur football happenings this weekend. That includes the CJFL. Now, the Okanagan Sun and the St. Clair Saints out of Windsor are going to be playing in the Apple Bowl, and they will be taking on the winner of the Regina Thunder and Saskatoon Hilltops, who are playing in the PFC final Sunday at Mosaic Stadium. So still lots of meaningful football to be played this weekend in Canada.
Absolutely. I'm pretty sure we are going to check out the Thunder and Hilltops game. Our cousin plays on the Thunder, so we're going to go support him, and hopefully they're able to beat the Hilltops. This rivalry has just been pretty crazy the last few years. Before that, the Hilltops were just dominant, but the Thunder have gotten to the point where they're pretty similar, and it's kind of like a coin flip game. So it's in Regina, so that's huge, and the Canadian Bowl goes to whoever wins this game. So the Canadian Bowl will either be in Regina or Saskatoon. So that's pretty awesome for fans in Saskatchewan to watch some, like you said, meaningful football.
Now it's the regular season finale for Canada West teams in U Sports. So UBC playing Regina Friday. It's actually an afternoon game. 1 o'clock kickoff. Am I seeing that right?
Yeah, it's very weird. I chatted with our good friend Glenn today about that. He apparently there's some sort of alumni weekend or something for the for the university, and they didn't want the football game to come in or be in the way of that, so they decided to play it in the afternoon, which is really silly because they're not going to have a lot of fans that are going to be able to make it out to that.
Wow.
So yeah, he was pretty rattled, and so was I, to be honest. Like I this was before the Jays made it to the World Series, mind you, but I was wanting to go check out the last Rams game, and I knew it was this Friday, and I was gonna go, but now the Jays game is on, and we're going to the movie theater to watch that. So I think that'll be
They play
what we're
that in the
doing.
theater?
Well, yeah, the local like cheap theater
Yeah.
is playing it. It's free. All you had to do is buy a $5 voucher for popcorn, and you
That's
got
pretty
to
cool,
there and then
actually.
just get. Yeah, so we're stoked. Me and Matt Damon and I think Shane and Tammy, we're all going, and it's gonna be fun.
Now, playoffs have actually started in the OUA. So this weekend is the quarterfinals. Queens, McMaster, Western, Guelph, Windsor, Ottawa. At this point, it seems like we are all just living in Laurier's world. Or it's Laurier's world and we're just living in it. Did you see that they went into the game with Western last weekend? Both teams undefeated. Laurier beat them 60-13.
Yeah.
Feels like you're
Yeah,
going to
I
be
was thinking
watching
of Laurier's.
Laurier at Vanier Cup in Regina later this fall.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. I was like, Laurier better get used to that really cold weather because they're gonna be playing in the Vanier Cup.
Yeah, that's wild. I love talking about the beer prices at various arenas in the chat. Apparently, $18 to $22 is a tall boy at Rogers Place in Edmonton.
Yeah, that's what I saw when I went to Creed. Yeah,
So when
it's crazy.
I went to San Francisco a couple times now. I've seen Metallica at the Chase Center where the Golden State Warriors play. Beer was 22 American.
Shane O'Mac, if
Now they
yeah.
pay, Steph Curry $35 million a year. They got to pay for it somehow, I guess.
Yeah, when we were in Philly, weren't beers like $22 or something at the stadium? I know I paid like $16 for a Diet Coke way
At
too
least you
many
get free
times.
refills.
That's true. And I have like
No
I
free
have like
refills on the
four
beer.
yeah, I have like four what is it, the Chase? Is that the arena in
Oh
Philadelphia?
yeah,
I can't remember.
Wells Fargo.
Wells Fargo, right. Yeah, I got four of those cups.
And we $5 beers half hour before kickoff in Regina. Wow.
But just for a single, I'm still sad. I haven't had a beer since like it really affected my guts. Like
Wow.
It's been like, yeah, 2.5 months since I've had a beer.
No wonder we used to have streaker problems at CFL games. If they charged $25 a beer, I guarantee you there wouldn't be as many streakers.
And
There was a Grey Cup streaker. I bet you there will not be in Winnipeg, though. That is too cold.
certainly not the same type of streaker that was in Vancouver. That's for damn sure.
Maybe some dumb idiot guy might do it, but
Maybe streaking for MGK. Funny story. I have to tell this funny story. We went to go, uh, you know, one of our friends wanted to make a meal for us because of the tough time. And thanks to everyone for condolences for me missing the show last week for my dad's funeral. And went to pick her up, and our friend's daughter, she's like 5, I think, 5. And Christy said, ask her who her boyfriend is. And we're like, who's your boyfriend? She said, MGK. And she found out that MGK was playing the Grey Cup, and now she wants to watch the Grey Cup.
real
And
5 years old.
5 years old, and like she just loves that song that they play before every commercial break. I
Wow.
can't remember what it's actually called, but it just made me laugh because I know 5-year-olds aren't the actual target mark or audience for this Grey Cup, but
Maybe they
younger
should be.
fans are definitely the target audience. And if MGK can get a little 5-year-old girl to watch, I'm sure there's a lot more people who are going to tune in for that. So I just thought that was a funny story, and I wanted to.
I love that. I love that. You got your power rankings up, ready to go?
I sure do.
These are the final ones of the year, aren't they?
Final, and 100% perfect. I'm
Okay.
always right when it comes to everything.
Yeah,
Uh,
last time we did power rankings, there was some talk in the chat, and you basically told them to go pound sand. So,
Whatever, I do what I want. Yeah. Uh, so I can't remember exactly what the movement was, but a lot of people are going to be rattled that I moved Saskatchewan up when they lost. However, their backups almost beat Winnipeg's full strength team who were trying to win. So I had to do that. So 1 BC, 2 Montreal, 3 Saskatchewan. So Edmonton dropped 4, Winnipeg 5. I moved Calgary up just because they beat Hamilton before the bye, and then they won again. So, and then Toronto and Ottawa are just still absolute garbage. That's it.
there you go. The final Sheldon Jones sponsored CFL power rankings of the season.
Let's get an actual sponsor next year. That'd be great.
That would be pretty sweet. Let's quickly make our picks. I know we'll get criticized in the. I'm going to load up Apple Podcast reviews after this, but I'm going to say that the Ticats are beating the RedBlacks, the Stamps are beating the Elks, the Bombers are beating the Alouettes, and the Lions are beating the Riders, Sheldon.
I have the Ticats, the Stampeders, the Alouettes, and the Lions.
There we go. And if I can get this rolling, let's read some reviews of Two and Out on Apple Podcasts. Paul Ferocious, who's actually in the live chat, gave us 5 stars. These guys really know what they're talking about, and the back and forth between them is a lot of fun, technically sound, wildly entertaining. They're the CFL's equivalent of a Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn match.
Oh,
That's pretty.
that's high praise.
I would say so.
I call Kevin Owens, by the way.
You're more ginger like Sami Zayn, though. So
I knew you were going to say that. I just don't think I could do a haluva kick, but I know for sure I
you
could
think
stop
I
you.
could?
No, but I just don't want to have to be the one who has to do it.
Cat Chat You says Travis and Sheldon have great chemistry and provide fair and balanced perspectives despite both being melon heads. My favorite CFL listen every week. And then EB_CFL, Travis and Sheldon are a staple for us CFL fans. Love the show. Now here's what I want. Negative reviews with 5-star ratings, because then that's more fun to read.
Yeah.
Because now we're like a bunch of losers just reading our compliments.
We could, I'm sure we could search and we could read mean tweets one of these times too. I'm sure we could find a bunch of mean tweets about myself for sure.
I would certainly be crying at the end of the episode if we were to do that. Now I'm going to go through my fantasy lineup. This is what I have right now, $100 left over. I've got the Ticats defense against the RedBlacks. I've got Rourke as my captain against the Riders. Dedrick Mills is my running back against the Elks. I actually have Matthew Peterson against the Alouettes. Now this is the running back for the Bombers. Got some starts earlier this year when Brady Oliveira was out. It's a gamble. I might change it here, but if the Bombers rest Oliveira, maybe Peterson gets some carries. I've got Kenny the King Lawler there. I'm banking that they want to get him a touchdown for the franchise record in Hamilton. At least tie it. Keon Hatcher paired him with Nathan Rourke, and I also got Xander Horvath of the BC Lions. That's my Week 21 fantasy lineup.
I have the Hamilton Tiger Cats defense as well. And then I am going with the only other obvious quarterback choice this week, and that is Bo Levi Mitchell as my captain. Running back for a cool $6,900.
Nice.
Stevie Scott III. And value pick Thomas Bertrand Houdon. Like I said, I want to see Thomas the Train rolling. And for my receivers, with all those savings I had above there, I have Kenny Lawler, Timmy White, and Tyson Philpott.
There we go.
With $300 left over.
Week 21 of the 2025 CFL season. Lots of playoff seeding still to be figured out as it goes on this weekend. Well, you hear the music. It's the time. Our final regular season preview show of the year. Can you believe it? You can rate, review, and subscribe to Two and Out on your favorite podcatcher. Check us out on YouTube. You can comment sometimes as we're live. Subscribe. Get the notifications as we go live. twoandout.ca. Support the show on Patreon. We'll talk to you soon after Week 21 of the 2025 CFL season. And for Sheldon Jones, go Jays.
The Two and Out CFL podcast is written, produced, and hosted by Travis Currah and co-hosted by Sheldon Jones. Subscribe to Two and Out on all major podcast platforms and YouTube to keep up to date with future shows.